Hello, I'm John White. Karen Devine has the night off tonight, live at 5.
We're beginning to see the first signs of tropical moisture right here in our desert. I'm tracking our rain chances in my first alert forecast.
Plus, a local conference offering hope and resources to men who have been sexually abused, why experts say men are less likely to come forward. And continuing coverage on the scandal at City Hall. See what happened in court today in the corruption case against former Palm Springs Mayor Steve Fournier and 2 developers.
You're watching KESQ, the desert's news leader. This is News Channel 3, live at 5.
Clouds are building in parts of the valley tonight, and there may be some rain on the way for us. Tonight we have First Alert team coverage for you. News Channel 3's Lauren Coronado is live in Thermal, and we begin with First Alert Chief Meteorologist Haley Clausen tracking your conditions out there. Haley, you've been talking about this chance for rain all week.
You know, we've been tracking Tropical Storm Sergio ever since last week when this was a Category 4 hurricane. But it made landfall early this morning as a tropical storm along the Baja Peninsula. And now we're beginning to see some of that tropical moisture right here in Southern California. Now, what you're looking at is not heavy rain by any means. We're talking precipitation rates of 1/100th of an inch of rain per hour. Very, very light rain. But this is just to get things started. As we continue throughout the rest of tonight and into tomorrow, we're still going to be experiencing plenty of clouds like you see here from our Toro Peak sky cam. Those clouds continuing to build in through tonight and into tomorrow. And it's in those overnight hours that we're really looking to have the bulk of this rain arrive. Still not talking anything heavy. The heaviest rain going to be keeping itself much further down towards the south, but we are looking to have some wet weather again through late tonight, overnight into early tomorrow. And then as we head into Sunday, that's when we'll begin to dry out thanks to Santa Ana winds. John?
We'll see in a bit. Thank you, Haley. We're keeping a close eye on conditions outside. News Channel 3's Lauren Coronado is live tonight in Thermal after talking with some people there about the chance for rain. Lauren, it doesn't happen very often here in the desert, so it's a big deal.
Yeah, it sure is, and a lot of people are excited for the rain, if we get it, that is. Now, right now we're in Thermal, and we're already seeing a little bit of cloud coverage just this way, a little bit more toward the east. So there's a little bit more of the darkness since we got here. We've been here about an hour or so. According to our First Alert weather team, we're seeing below average amounts of rainfall for this time of year compared to previous years. Last year was an above average year for rainfall. We hit 7 inches of measurable rain last year in Palm Springs compared to only 2.8 inches this year. On the east end where we're at right now, we've only seen ½ an inch of rainfall since January 1st, and folks in the valley say we can really use the rain.
I don't think it's going to rain. We probably need the rain, but I don't think it's going to happen.
I kind of don't like the rain because it's like it makes it more humid, but I think we need the rain because, like, you know, it's like dry out here.
Yeah, and if we get rain tonight, we're only looking at about 1/4 inch to ½ an inch of measurable rainfall overnight. So if you plan on driving late into the evening, just be cautious. We don't get rain often and the roads get slick pretty fast. Now, AAA says the most dangerous times to drive in rain is the first 10 minutes when roads are the slickest. In fact, they say during the time that the pavement is wet, there's about 1.2 million accidents per year nationwide. So just stay safe out there. We'll have another live report right here on News Channel 3 at 6 o'clock. Reporting live in Thermal, Lauren Coronado, News Channel 3.
And a lot of high school football tonight, so people may want to take an umbrella along with them. Stay with News Channel 3 on the air and online at KESQ.com for the latest weather updates and forecasts. You can find constant weather information anytime with our First Alert weather app. It's available for free. Just search KESQ First Alert in the Apple Store or Google Play. Experts say 1 in 4 men will be sexually abused before they're 18, and most men will never come forward to talk about that abuse. Today, as News Channel 3's Madison Wow reports, a local conference offered hope and resources to male victims.
As women have been able to stand up, more men need to stand up now and have that same courage and strength. And as more do so, we break that silence. We break the isolation. We break the shame.
Several male survivors of sexual abuse bravely sharing their own stories on stage.
I held those secrets and the abuse that my dad had done, and those pieces that trauma affected me through my sexual abuse. I held those pieces for a long time.
Like so many survivors of abuse, Marquez keeping those secrets for 35 years, at one point falling into addiction, until starting his recovery in 1999. Today, encouraging men to address any abuse in their past.
As a man, I was taught not to. We don't talk. Growing up, I think most men, we don't tell our secrets. We don't tell our family secrets. You have to man up, and you don't share those pieces. You can't be emotionally available.
A stigma that family therapist Carol Teitelbaum is trying to break down. This is her 10th year hosting the It Happens to Boys conference, and she has a free counseling group for male survivors the first and third Tuesdays of every month.
Every time a new man comes, he says the same thing. I thought I was the only one that's been going through this.
The conference offering hope and resources.
It should never hurt to be a child. The shame belongs to the perpetrator, never the survivor.
For men who as little boys were so incredibly violated, for them to understand, even as men, that little kid inside that needs to hear, it's not your fault, and you're not alone, and there are safe people and places that can help you.
Reporting in Indio, Madison Weil, News Channel 3.
New development site on the corruption scandal at Palm Springs City Hall. Lawyers for former Palm Springs Mayor Steve Pugnet and developers John Westman and Richard Meany appeared in court today in Indio. The defendants were not there. They announced the discovery of 150,000 pages of evidence seized from City Hall by a federal task force in 2015. And they asked for more time to review all of those documents. The judge ordered them back to court on December 14th.
On December 14th, we're going to have a better idea of how much we've gone through, how much is relevant, and how much we want to fight about. And then at some point, we'll probably be picking a preliminary hearing to start the real guts and the meat of this case.
Westman, Meany, and Pugnet are all facing bribery and perjury charges in connection with the downtown redevelopment project, including the new Kimpton Hotel, which was completed after the scandal broke. They all pleaded not guilty last October. The search is on tonight for a tip jar thief in Desert Hot Springs after a man was caught on surveillance video at a restaurant. The owner of Zapopan Mexican Food says the suspect came into the store around 6 last night and ran off with the tip jar. Watch it right there. Surveillance video caught clear pics of the thief. The owner says he will make sure the tip jar is a little more secure in the future.
And if you have a tip jar on your counter, just nail it, secure it to your counter, so it's not easy for them to just grab it and run. Okay, this is the money that customers kindly leave for the employees, and it makes us really mad.
The owner tells us this isn't the first time the tip jar has been stolen. If you have any information about this case, call Desert Hot Springs Police or Valley Crime Stoppers at 760-341-STOP. Tips can remain anonymous, and you may be eligible for a cash reward. The search is on for a man caught on camera stealing a flag from a World War II monument in downtown Los Angeles. Next on News Channel 3, how people who live in the area are reacting to the theft. Plus a cleanup of the area near the Whitewater River, how it makes a difference at that local attraction. And Friday night high school football across the valley. This is a live look at the site of the 24th flag game between La Quinta and Palm Desert. It's rivalry week. Blake and Cody will be along with full coverage. You're watching KESQ, the Desert's news leader. Caught on camera, a monumental robbery of sorts in downtown LA. As Greg Mills reports, someone swiped the American flag from a World War II museum honoring Japanese veterans.
Picture this, 120,000 Japanese on the West Coast, about half of them U.S. citizens, ordered into internment camps 2 months after Japan bombed Pearl Harbor. But a year later, it was determined we needed them to help us win the war. Perhaps surprisingly, thousands volunteered to serve this country that had locked them up.
These guys, they fought with honor. They were in an internment camp.
Robin Tyus admires these soldiers he never met. He learned their U.S. history in his daily walks here. He still can't believe someone stole the American flag that flew over their monument with their motto proudly displayed, "Go for broke." This guy stole their flag. He hasn't been caught, but what he did here was caught on security camera.
Despicable.
16,000 courageous soldiers of Japanese heritage fought in World War II for the U.S., defending our country, defending the flag that this guy stole from their monument.
I lived here for 15 years and I've never, ever have experienced anything like that. Them stealing the flag.
Their flag. The CEO of Go for Broke says, "We're disappointed that our flag was taken, although we don't think there's any evidence of ill intent toward our veterans. These veterans were war heroes. In fact, the 442nd and 100th are, get this, the most decorated military unit for their size and length of service. Instead of giving them the salute they deserve, this guy stole their old glory."
Like I say, that's really despicable.
That was Greg Mills reporting. The Black Granite Monument bears the names of more than 16,000 veterans. Today, volunteers at the Whitewater Preserve work to clean up what they call micro trash. The goal is to clean up the park and educate visitors on the importance of picking up trash, specifically smaller pieces that get left behind like bottle caps and straws. The small pieces of trash can make a big impact on the park's ecosystem and wildlife.
We try to keep this area as clean as we can, both for the people that come and visit the preserve so that they can get that real wilderness feel out in nature and it's not encumbered by trash on the trail system and out where they're trying to have their lunch or enjoy with their family. But also for the wildlife that lives here, for the trees that call this place home, for the river that flows through this canyon.
Starting in January, sit-down restaurants in California will be banned from automatically providing straws in an effort to reduce micro-trash and waste. You can get more information on the Whitewater Preserve cleanups if you'd like to volunteer online at KESQ.com. A Saudi journalist from the United States missing in Turkey, now believed to be dead. Next on News Channel 3, how the journalist's disappearance is impacting U.S.-Saudi relations, which were already strained.
Tropical moisture has arrived in Southern California. We began to see the signs through this afternoon when we saw those clouds building overhead. Now seeing some very light showers across portions of the high desert. But as we head overnight and into early tomorrow morning, it's going to be much more active on our radar all across Southern California, but even here for the Coachella Valley. This moisture will not last long. We'll be drying out rather quickly. A complete first alert forecast coming up next. You're watching KESQ, the desert's news leader.
There are reports of new evidence in the disappearance of a Saudi journalist who lives in the United States. Jamal Khashoggi hasn't been seen since he walked into a Saudi consulate in Turkey more than a week ago. As Kenneth Moten reports, Turkey and Saudi Arabia have now agreed to do a joint investigation as this case puts more pressure on U.S.-Saudi relations.
The mystery surrounding the disappearance of U.S.-based journalist Jamal Khashoggi is intensifying, with Turkey and Saudi Arabia announcing they are now working together to investigate. The Washington Post reports Turkish officials have described to their U.S. counterparts video of a Saudi security team detaining Khashoggi inside the Saudi consulate in Turkey, and then the sounds of torture ending in his murder. The columnist for the Post, who's been critical of his native Saudi Arabia, was last seen more than a week ago, walking into the consulate to file paperwork for his wedding. Khashoggi's fiancée, waiting outside for hours, says he never came out. The Saudis, who have denied involvement, say Khashoggi left the consulate, but they've provided no evidence. Turkish media released surveillance video they say shows 15 Saudi nationals, a possible hit squad, entering the compound on the same day.
We don't like it, and we don't like it even a little bit.
The incident now putting pressure on President Trump. Today, in response to the president's tweet on American pastor Andrew Brunson, who was freed after being detained for 2 years in Turkey, Khashoggi's fiancée tweeted, "And what about Khashoggi?" Trump took tough action against Turkish officials over Brunson, but the president has become friendly with the Saudi crown prince. Trump, who has long-standing business ties to the oil-rich country, made his first overseas trip as president to Saudi Arabia, a key partner in his Middle East strategy. But on Capitol Hill, bipartisan calls for possible sanctions and the halt of U.S. arms sales to the kingdom.
We need to push back on activities like this. If they have occurred, we need to nip it in the bud.
President Trump says the arms deal could pour tens of millions of dollars into the U.S., and if the Saudi government murdered Khashoggi, there are other ways to take action that wouldn't put the deal at risk. Kenneth Moten, ABC News, Washington.
Today, the Greater Coachella Valley Chamber of Commerce held the State of the City for La Quinta. The La Quinta City Council sharing some updates on infrastructure, investments, and the business climate. La Quinta's Mayor Linda Evans saying the city's focus is on quality of life through thriving businesses and entertainment. The development of the CV Link and new Highway 111 corridor vision projects are big focuses. The city is working on a grant right now to pay for an art and music line which would connect with the CV Link. That's a bike and electric vehicle path through much of the valley.
An active, safe, barriered lane that would enable us to showcase art and music, as well as a safe route for travelers that want to go to the music festivals.
The connector would also serve as a route to the East Valley and the Polo Grounds, where the Coachella and Stagecoach festivals are held.
Now, First Alert Weather with Chief Meteorologist Haley Clausen.
We have done it for the sixth day in a row. Palm Springs has come in with a high temperature below seasonal norms, hanging out in the 80s. This afternoon, Palm Springs International Airport recorded a high of 88 degrees, lows still hanging out in the 60s, just as we have been experiencing every other day this week. Now, what's been responsible for such mild fault conditions here in the desert has been this trough of low pressure over the west coast. But if you've been watching our newscast throughout this week, you would have seen this picture evolving quite a bit. This used to look like a rather large U right across the western half of the United States, but now notice how it's digging more down towards the southwest. What this is an area of closed, a low area of pressure. And that is actually what's going to be responsible for us getting a little bit more tropical moisture as we head throughout tonight and into tomorrow. So here's that area of low pressure. And here's Sergio, further towards the east. Sergio made landfall early this morning along the Baja coast. Now it's just a remnant low, but there's still a lot of moisture involved. Sergio is going to be heading off towards the east, but that low is actually going to help pull more of that moisture right into Southern California. That's why we're beginning to see those clouds overhead and why I'm tracking a few showers across the high desert at this hour. Now, the bulk of this activity is not going to be happening until late tonight into early tomorrow morning, where thunderstorms are possible, developing over our local mountains and then pushing themselves further towards the east. So the overnight hours is our best chance to really have some rainfall accumulation right here on the valley floor. This continues into our Saturday, and then by Saturday night, we'll be clearing out nicely because of Santa Ana winds that will begin to develop. Now, rainfall estimates on the higher end are going to be showing totals roughly about ½ an inch. A lot of these are going to be overdone. However, if a thunderstorm should develop and dump right on top, that's when we're going to see those higher totals. If it's just showers that are moving by, we'll keep those numbers a lot lower. Right now, seeing very light showers across the high desert. We're feeling a little bit more humidity than yesterday, but this moisture is not going to last very long. Santa Ana winds will begin to develop really even late Saturday. That's when a fire weather watch will be going into effect for our local mountains for very low humidity as well as gusty northeast winds. That will remain in effect through Tuesday night. So yes, we're feeling a little bit more humidity today. Those winds will become more northeasterly, drying us out. Notice the winds really not strengthening until Sunday evening into Monday are looking to be the strongest conditions there, but highs in the 80s, that's not changing.
Yeah, it'd be great to get a little light rain ahead of that Santa Ana condition coming up next week. No doubt about that, because we always get really worried about wildfires in
Exactly.
October.
We're extremely dry right now. Like Lauren Coronado was talking about, we're below normal for this time of year. So we would like to get a boost in our saturation with our soil, and then the Santa Ana winds will be a little bit easier to handle.
Can't argue with the temperatures, though.
Never, no.
Great. Thank you, Haley. This is Rivalry Week in high school football. Blake Arthur and Cody Krupp are live tonight at Palm Desert High School for this week's Game of the Week, one of the biggest rivalries in the Valley.
Yeah, John, thank you so much. And we could smell the barbecue in the air. They're going to be cooking tonight. This is a good one, the 24th flag game, Cody. La Quinta and Palm Desert going toe-to-toe.
It's one that's circled every year, whether the teams are good or bad. But these two teams, both good. So we're going to have more on this game coming up next. You're watching KESQ, the Desert's news leader.
Friday night high school football rolls on this week with a game that many here in the Valley look forward to every year, the annual flag game between La Quinta and Palm Desert. Sports Director Blake Arthur and Cody Krupp live at Palm Desert High School with our Game of the Week with more on this one. And guys, this may be one of the best rivalries going right now in the desert. Should be fun one. Should be a fun one out there tonight.
Yeah, John, no doubt about it. Should be a lot of fun. One of the biggest rivalries we have in the Valley, if not the biggest. So Cody, you can expect both teams to bring their best, their A game tonight. And speaking of best, these are two of the best teams in league. The only two unbeatens that we have left in the Desert Empire League, Palm Desert 2-0, La Quinta 2-0. So should be a good one. Aside from the rivalry, we got two of the best teams in the Valley going head-to-head.
Yeah, you can make the argument this is for a Desert Empire League title, the first ever one. But that's not what they're thinking about. They're thinking about this thing called a flag. This is a flag game. Basically, this thing hangs in the school. They put it at pep rallies. They have it at volleyball, basketball games. People eat that thing up. They love it. It is a reminder of what this game does. So this is a 365 bragging rights for victory.
We grew up with these kids, so it's, now that we go to different schools, it means a bit more playing against your friends and stuff. And there's a flag at stake, so it means a bit more to everyone.
Something you have to see for yourself. That's just the main thing I told him, because it's just something different. You have to feel it, and you just have to be there in person.
We all know what's expected. We all know what's going to go down, so we're just waiting for the game to come up.
All right, so it should be a good one. And Cody's already asked me, hey, man, let's get some picks, but we're going to have to wait till 6 o'clock in sports. We'll have the picks, and we'll have much more on this game. But, Cody, I know we're looking forward to this one, and we'll have more coverage later tonight at 6. John, for Cody Krupp, Blake Arthur, we'll send it back to you in the studio.
Okay, thanks, guys. Hopefully you have your rain gear ready to go, too. Maybe.
Right. Our best chance at really getting any precipitation here in the desert is going to be overnight tonight into tomorrow. Sunday, much drier thanks to Santa Ana winds beginning to develop.
We're back in a half hour at 6.